welcome to the Bloomz Arthouse here on Instagram, and welcome to the last of our 4 Art Cafe chats. This is the way that you get to know the artists taking part of the Bloomz show next week. We've got the Bloomz International Online Art Show next week, the end of next week. So this is the last time you'll meet our artists before you come and see them at the show. And we've got 2 artists to meet today to let them have their chat. That's Julie Wrathall. She's an Encaustic artist and also a photographer. And we've got Katerina Kestamont, who is a divine feminine artist. Katerina hails from Switzerland and Julie is in Cornwall in the UK. So let's get them both on board. Let's get them on. So let me invite to join us Katerina, and hopefully by the power of technology we should have them both joining us any moment now. Here we are. There's Julie.
Hello.
And I think we've got Katerina joining us as well.
Yes.
Hey,
Hi.
well done, well done, well done.
Hello.
How are you both today? You both well?
Yes, good. Yeah.
You got the lovely weather that we've got here in Stratford-upon-Avon in the Midlands in the UK?
If you mean like grey clouds
Oh,
and
no.
rain, yeah.
We've got sunshine here. We've got beautiful sunshine. Probably one of the few times that the UK is looking better than Switzerland.
Yes.
Anyway,
my
I will leave you
is
to...
fake.
Sorry, Katerina? Sorry?
My sunshine is fake.
Sunshine is in our head, isn't it? We can feel sunny all day long. Right. I'm going to leave you 2 to chat about your wonderful art and to tell the good viewers about the show at the end of next week. It's getting really exciting. So I will join you. I'll hop on towards the end and I might have 1 or 2 questions in the meantime to ask you. But have a lovely chat and I'll see you in a bit.
Okay, thank you.
See you later.
Oh, bless him.
Hi.
So, Katerina, hello. Good to
Hey.
see you on here as well. So, yeah. So, I mean, for the purpose of these art chats really is just to explain a little bit about the show that we've got coming up next weekend.
Yeah.
Which is our big annual art exhibition. So, for those of you that aren't familiar with what we're on chatting about today, is we have an annual art show at the end of April. So 20th, 29th and 30th. And we will be, we're going to be sharing, there are 11 artists coming from 5 countries. There are 4 shows across 3 days. It's going to be amazing. So Katerina, so you're in quite a unique position really in that you have visited the show as a visitor, but you've also exhibited as an artist.
Yes.
And this is your 2nd time as coming back as a guest artist.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
yeah, so it obviously can't be too bad.
No.
So I mean, tell us from your point of view. I mean, obviously, you've got quite a unique perspective for that as a visitor and an artist as well. So yeah, tell people a little bit about the show, and we'll come back and say a bit more about dates and times and things in a while.
So, the first time you guys organized it, I came just as a visitor and it was really cool. And you think, oh, I'm just going to spend 10 minutes there and 10 minutes there. And I'll talk to her really quickly. And then it's like 3 hours later.
Yeah, time seems like.
Yeah. And it's really interesting because you can talk person, in person, like we are chatting here now.
Yep.
And ask questions. And, they can show you your sketchbook or tell you little secrets. And I really enjoyed that. So I was very honored when I was invited to participate again.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yes, your 2nd time exhibiting with us. So yes, we kind of have a core group of Bloomz artists, and then we like to bring in different guest artists for each show.
Yeah.
So it's always something new and something different. But I mean, as you just said, Katerina, so I mean, it really, I think the thing to get across with this art show is that it's not like your typical static exhibition. Often you go to like an online exhibition and you kind of just get static art moving across, or maybe like an online auction where you go and look through. But this really isn't like that at all, is it? It's so interactive, and a bit like with Katerina and I talking now. This is really kind of almost like what it's like at the show. So you would come in. So each of the 11 artists have their own like art studio, if you like, and then as you kind of people go, oh, I know Zoom, and they think they know it, but actually it's really different. You literally travel around the show and go into individual art rooms, and you can have conversation as Katerina and I are now. And I think that's
exactly. in your
what blows people away.
PJs, in your PJs if you want, or you're jogging with your favorite drink, if it's coffee or tea or whatever you fancy,
Absolutely.
which is nice. You don't have to go out and put on a big coat and go out in the cold weather
Yeah.
to go to the gallery.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. No, but it really is like an art tour in your living room, and like,
Yeah.
as you say, get yourself settled up with drinks and snacks, and it really is
Yeah.
good. So I mean, if only people watching this, if you've been before, you'll know. If you haven't got your tickets yet, make sure you go and get them. But basically, so it's all an online art show. It's all hosted on Zoom, but each of the artists have their own individual art rooms to go into, like a breakout room. And we use it.
Hi, Fiona. Sorry, Fiona is saying that. And I also want to shout out to Kiki, who's watching from.
Brilliant. You've got some people coming on.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. So we tell us a little bit about your art, Katerina, so people can understand a little bit more about that as well.
Yeah. So I've always been creative, like most of us creatives are, I would say. It's like something in our soul that's longing for expressing itself. And it often took second place in my life, as with so many creatives. Story. I think a lot of creatives can relate. In 2016, I decided to put more energy inside of the creative part of my life. So I started actually doing just fan art portraits, which is not completely different from what I'm doing now. And then I wanted to get a freer expression of my art, so I started doing a drawing every day for a year, and that basically then brought me to the feminine, divine feminine kind of emerged from that year, all by itself. It's like there was no effort, it just came, this softness, a little bit magical, a little bit ethereal, sometimes strong, sometimes like a warrior, but it just comes out by itself in that sense, like an expression.
Brilliant. Because that's actually when I first met you, so we kind of go back a little way now. And when I first met you, you were doing that drawing every day. And I remember you created a book from all of your images, didn't you? And the progression from when you first started to now, I mean, it's just unrecognizable. It's incredible. So
I sometimes have to pinch myself and like, really?
But you're right, though. I think that so many people have that same experience that, creativity really isn't encouraged. And I think there's a similar thread with many of us, actually, within the Bloomz and this art show. And for anybody that hasn't visited before, we love, all of us, we love talking about that. We love sharing that. We love sharing our stories and encouraging other people as well. And, I think that's a really strong theme that comes across in the show. And it's not a show where you're going to be sold to, or we just want you into, buy art or do this.
No.
It really is sharing our passions and just sharing our experiences and techniques. And if that, we love what we do. We're excited about it. And if that inspires somebody else to go out and do the same, then, I think that's a really big purpose. I think there's a good point to get across. There's a really strong purpose of the show to do that.
Yeah.
So, for sure.
Agree.
For sure. No.
Yeah. And you work mainly in wax?
I do,
kind of wax. And I'm curious, actually, if I can ask this now, what made you start? What was the little impulse that you got you started with this quite extraordinary medium that you work in?
Yeah. So I had, much like you, creativity was never really encouraged at all. And I started going to like an untutored, just a weekly art group, and I was drawing with pencil and pastel, and then I got into acrylic, and then it was something else and something else.
Yeah.
And like, like kidding the sweetie store, buying all the equipment. And I just on a whim, I exhibited my work at an art show near us.
Yeah.
And I was at the show, and it was terrifying. I mean, pure terror. Like, I was suddenly like, what on earth have I got myself into this for? But I did it, and it's good because you've got to put yourself out in your comfort zone. And as I was walking around the show, I can remember it to this day. I could see this picture there, and it was an Encaustic wax piece, and it just stopped me in my tracks. And I was like, oh my, I don't know what that is, but I've got to find out what it is. And I signed up to a course with a guy that was painting this medium. and that was it. I fell in love with it. I mean, you're saying about kind of connecting with your soul. It just touched me like nothing. I mean, I loved all the others. I loved the pastels, the acrylics, the pencils. You know, I enjoyed them all. But there was just something special about that wax. And really, I still use the other mediums with the wax, but normally 9 times out of 10 at the foundation of my work, I still have this, and it's called Encaustic wax, which is painting with hot wax. So you use all sorts of weird and wonderful tools, you know, heat guns and blow torches and irons and a big skillet on the go with all my, paints.
Like an alchemist.
Yeah.
You
sprinkle a bit of this in,
the potions.
and a bit of oil paints and a bit of this and that. It is. And then you can even set fire to it. I mean, there's so many things you can do. You can use it on a real basic beginner's level, or you can really get. But I mean, it's just, I can remember that piece to this day, and it's definitely the piece that just started my whole journey. Just loved it. And then a bit like you, things snowballed, and suddenly I had an art studio, and then I had people coming in asking me how to do it, and the next thing I was teaching, and then I had online courses, and again, it just sort of snowballs, and but again, it literally evolved and happened by itself, really. So
And Fiona is saying that it's a shame that so many people lose their childhood enjoyment of art, and I agree. It's like, I still remember my parents, because I was young. I was like 12 when you have to decide which school you do, and for me it was clear, I want to be an artist, I want to go to art school, and it was like, you can't make money with that. It's not a job.
It's such a familiar story, and I hear it time and time again. And this has stick to people for years as well. So I mean, I used to run a lot of in-person workshops. When I was at my old studio, and people would be coming in, and some of them, they're in their 70s and 80s, and they're still. This stuff sticks to people, and they're creating like, my art teacher told me I wasn't any good and I shouldn't carry on with art. I wish I'd done
That's the worst. That's the worst.
All that kind of thing. It's not an isolated story. It's the same story comes up time and time again. So
something in our society has to change.
100%.
To allow art the place it should have.
100%.
Instead of being something just secondary, just a second thought, just a hobby, it's not. It's an expression of the soul of that person. It's their calling. That's why they're here.
100%.
Like somebody becomes a doctor or an engineer, or even working at the casa in a grocery store. It's something you're called to do.
Yeah, I agree. 100%. I do think the Bloomz kind of collective group is really good at that, because they, like I said, they really are so encouraging for them. So
exactly.
We've got a comment
And
on that.
you just what did she say? I can only read a little bit.
So Fiona was saying it's such a shame so many people lose their childhood enjoyment of art, and Max was saying, yes, I agree. It's often dismissed as a viable career. I think often people generally forget that everything they see that's made or influenced by humans, it's a viable option. 100%. 100%. So Steve's asking a question. Katerina, how many of your year of drawings made it to canvas?
None. They all stayed in my sketchbook, and I sold quite a lot of them in the sketchbook, and people are still talking about that year, which is really always amazing to me, because I can see the difference between then and now. But like just this week, somebody bought a little mouse. It was a little mouse holding a flower, and it was really basic sketch, and she said she still loves it. Every time she looks at it, she's happy. So you never know, but it never any of those never made it to canvas, actually.
But they were, I can remember some of those, and it was like the mouse holding the flower, and I can remember them, and they were some of them were quite simplistic in design, but they were lovely. They had a real quirkiness about them, and I can completely appreciate what somebody's saying by saying it. So, for sure.
We need to put it in our art as though seeing the world through a child's eyes. Yes. The joy and the play and the trying and the messiness
and not being afraid to make that mark, and just to be prepared to fail as well. That's the other thing. They don't all come out brilliantly, and but children don't worry about falling over. They get up and carry right on again.
And carry on, and we get scared.
We
get scared.
Exactly.
It's it's the same topic, but a little bit off topic. I was in yoga class, and the yoga class is right to a primary school. And at the end of the yoga class, when we're supposed to be in savasana and relax, they have their break. So there's like this amazing energy of these small children coming out and screaming, like. And then I was thinking, when did we become afraid to scream like that, to show our happiness and our excitement and our joy for something, and we don't show it anymore? It's like everything is like, no, I can't.
Yeah.
And I
good, well behaved.
feel
Wow.
art, and I feel art is like that as well.
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah. That's right. Just keep trying.
And you just moved, right?
I did.
So
Cornwall. 6 months
and
ago.
has that had any influence on your art or your creative side?
Definitely, yes. Yeah, I mean, it feels like coming home. It really does. I grew up down here, so that it is literally coming home. But I can just feel. Yeah, I mean, I loved what I was doing up in Hertfordshire, and it was great, and I was connecting with it. But I can really kind of feel that nature, the natural elements, and everything coming in as well. It's. I mean, I haven't got a permanent studio set up yet, so I'm still kind of in slightly temporary accommodation until we get properly settled. But hopefully that will come about, not too distant future. And it's just that, it's the colours. I mean, I've always had a lot of blue in all of my work. I mean, if you have a flick through my website, there's an awful lot of blue and turquoise in there. But I'm also, I think Steve just asked a question as well. So the other thing I'm doing a lot of, so at the foundation, I never really shared this much before, but at the foundation of all of my work, I've always taken photographs, and then those elements have come into my work. But I've recently started doing smart, and I used to have proper cameras and things years ago. But since the cameras on the phone are so good now, I've always got you've always got your smartphone on you. So I've actually been running smartphone photography classes down here as well. Which is brilliant, because that same sort of sharing creativity, but I don't need the actual art studio to be doing it. So I'm running those in parallel at the moment. So I've still got my art. I am doing a little bit, but not so much. But I've been running, like, they're called smartphone safaris. So I've been doing that as well, which I'm loving. I've done done a couple of family sessions and one-to-ones and group safaris as well. But we just go around and sort of teach people. So many people get their phone and they just point and shoot. They haven't got a clue what all the other, maybe a video. They really don't know how to use the camera on their phone. So just sort of teaching people how to take better photographs, and I've been loving it. It's been loads of fun. But also there's a technique called photo encaustic. So I take photographs and then I will either embed them in an encaustic image, or I do sort of actual photo encaustic technique. So that's what I'm going to be bringing to this show. So there's going to be a whole. So I'm going to have some completely encaustic pieces at the show. I'm going to have a handful of photographs that I've taken on my iPhone. And I'm also going to have photo encaustic where I'm combining the two. So that's what I'll be talking about. So people are welcome to come and chat to me about any of those things. If you want to know about how to take photos on your phone, come along and have a chat. And the same with encaustic, and how to paint with a torch and all that kind of stuff. So it's going to be brilliant. Fiona wants to come and try encaustic painting. I'll get my studio set up, and then everybody's invited. You'll hear all about it for sure. I am definitely missing a proper setup. So I teach in my small space. I just put everything on the side, and you can have. You don't need an enormous set of space, but it's just for me. I have an enormous amount of equipment. But no, I mean, I have been working for sure, and I've got some new pieces for the show, so I've been working on those. So I mean, never let space be a barrier to actually using it. But in terms of inviting people in and showing people in for workshops and things, I'm itching to get a proper studio back. So Stephanie is asking me why I'm using texture or relief in my work right now. How did that come about? I don't know.
I think I went, it's mostly for me, it's just like on the spot inspiration.
Mm-hmm.
Like I go to the art store and I see something and I said, I could incorporate that in my next painting.
Yeah.
It's not like it's more intuitive and spontaneous than a thought I should use that. And I'm really loving the feel that it gives. It makes the painting become more like 3D. She says
Yeah.
you were
Where
you playing?
you
Yes,
playing?
exactly, like playing. Exactly, playing. Exactly. This
100%.
spontaneousness
Yeah.
that comes out when a child says, I'm gonna make a mud cake, and it just goes and
Yeah.
does the thing.
Yeah.
It's kind of like in that. That's the way I often create my art as well. And I love the 3D that it gives in
So
the piece.
what materials?
You,
I haven't actually seen this piece that you're referring to, or pieces
it's
as yet.
behind
So,
me, but I think it's difficult to see.
right. Okay. So what material have you been using to?
It's a special paste that you buy
Oh, okay.
that
Yeah.
stays a little bit flexible. It doesn't become hard like plaster. Plaster would at one point start to crack,
Mm-hmm.
but it's and it's more smooth. It's like it doesn't have any graininess or anything
Oh,
to
okay.
it.
Oh, I shall look
Yeah.
forward to seeing that up close then. I've missed
Yes.
that one. Yeah.
I can't take her off. I'm
No,
sorry.
no,
She's
no, that's
too
fine.
heavy.
That's fine. I'll wait for a sneak peek at the show, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Mac is asking us what motivates us to start a new piece. What motivates you to start a new piece?
Well, for me, well, I just, a bit like you're just saying, though, like, just get that inspiration and I'm like, that's it, I'm ready. I mean, sometimes it's like, right, and I've got a piece for a particular occasion or reason that I'm doing, but often when I need to paint, it needs to come out of me.
Yeah.
And, but also going for like walks, around here at the moment, go down to the beach and I'll come back and I'm like, oh, got to get something down on paper, even if it's just a sketch, if I haven't got my whole set of
Yeah.
but yeah. But again, it's just that innate, it's there, it needs to come out. And for me, it's giving myself freedom to do that.
For me, it's
How
the
about you?
same. And if I don't do it, it's like I feel it's like a volcano inside me. And if I don't do it, it's gonna. It feels like I'm gonna explode if I don't even just put one line on a paper. It's like it's too much.
It's a frustration, isn't it? And
it's not even a frustration. It's like such a deep need that if I don't do it, I'm not gonna be well in a sense.
Yeah, I get that completely.
Maybe it's a drug. I don't know. It's just.
It's going back to what you said earlier. It's that innate. It's what we're here to do. And that,
Yes.
if you don't let that come out, then you get a very
Exactly.
You were just asking, is it called mounding paste?
Molding paste.
Molding
yes,
paste.
Molding paste. Yeah, it is. Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
It is. So it stays flexible, which is important because I use it on paper as well. And if you roll the paper, it has to kind of,
Yeah. I didn't realise you were using that because I've obviously seen your watercolours, the primary medium I think you've been using.
Yeah.
And I forget the brand you use. I've seen them. They just look like. Is it a Japanese watercolour you use?
Yes. I use Japanese watercolors because of their high pigmentation. Yes.
I remember watching you when you received a new box or something and you were just playing with all the colours. I was like,
I got my eye on the box.
Anyway.
Yeah, Cindy loves using it, the molding paste as well. Yeah, and I have my eye on a new box, but
another one.
I would have to sell like a big painting before I can afford it. It's a box they gave out for the 100 years of the Kuretake company.
Oh, okay.
It has like 4 tiers and colors that they don't have in other sets, but it's like about £300.
Okay. Yeah. Well, paints are expensive as well. I don't think people always realise. Just I think
Yeah. True. Yeah.
Yeah, they are expensive. You get really proper, really good quality, highly pigmented paints. They cost the same with the wax that they use as well.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Stephanie, let's show that new box. Isn't it beautiful, Stephanie? Isn't it just like, oh. Yeah,
Absolutely.
it's amazing. It's just
Yeah.
beautiful. Yeah.
But I mean, I guess the thing to get across as well is these are the kind of conversations. If you come to the show next weekend, it is next weekend, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
These are the
In
kind of
2 weeks.
conversations you can have with us,
Yeah.
with all of us, all 11 artists individually, and you
Yeah.
can ask about, what paint you use and this, that, and the other. Steve's really good for explaining all of
I
this.
can't
So, yeah.
resist
Yeah.
coming back on. There's nothing like
Ah.
listening to
Hi,
artists
Steve.
chat. I mean, we could go on for ages and ages because we've got 11 different artists and 11 different processes, 11 different passions for what they do.
Yes.
And this is the amazing thing when you get a group of artists together, and this is what everybody will see when they come to the show next week.
Yeah.
It's
We
been
shouldn't
great.
talk too much.
No, I mean,
we should.
you can, as you said early on, Katerina, that people can engage with the artist next week. They might not want to engage. They can watch the show reel running in your room. If you're talking to somebody else, they can wait and watch the show reel. They can chat to you. They can just come in the room. The artist will not be offended if you don't speak to them.
No.
But once you do speak to them, they won't stop. And they'll tell you everything about their art. It's a wonderful thing.
Well, and everybody can ask questions. Often people feel shy to ask us questions because they think they're going to ask something stupid. But no question is stupid.
But the questions that they ask, they probably wouldn't ask at an art gallery. If they go to a very posh evening at an art gallery and the artist in residence is there, you might not ask them the same sort of questions. When they see that same artist in their studio, surrounded by their art and their materials, and showing, as you two have done, showing an obvious passion for the art that you do, and the willingness to try new things, it hopefully will inspire other people if they've never done art before to try something, to make that first mark on a piece of paper, to pick up that camera and go and try something different. It's amazing, and it's exciting for all of us that are involved in the show as well. You probably, by watching this and the other art chats we've had, the excitement is palpable. Because it is the one show a year that we do. So if you want to see these guys and the other artists in residence, then you need to get your tickets. And where do they get the tickets from, ladies?
www.bloomz.co.uk.
It'll be
in
the comments
Bloomz
below.
with a Z. Bloomz with a Z.
With a Z or a Z, whatever the word you are. But it's been lovely. I know, Katerina, that you've got another meeting to go to shortly, which is why I hopped on, using the excuse to pop on. And so thank you very much for giving us just a brief glimpse into your art. You haven't given away everything. There's far more that people can find out about and ask you next week. You'll both be ready and waiting. 28th, 29th and 30th. Go to our website, have a look at the dates and times. Register for your ticket. It's free. There's no cost for ticket.
No.
You have to register so you get the links and all the other info that will make your visit enriched beyond belief and enriched by seeing the artist. So thank you once again. Have a lovely rest of your days. I suppose Julia's going down to the beach, no doubt.
I am.
Katerina, what are you doing for the rest of the day? You got anything planned?
I have a workout class.
A workout class. Yeah, sadly I won't be joining. The only workout I will have is probably with a bottle of gin. So.
Oh dear.
Thank you very much, ladies. Look forward to seeing you all next week at the show.
Great to see you.
Take care.
Hope everybody can come that was watching.
Bye-bye.
Bye.